is, and with what we got now, oh my God, it just gets more and more wackier by the minute. Let me just move this down a bit. Wackier by the minute. And what we got to talk about with regards to Hamas useless, or Hamza bin shagging. And Hamza bin shagging, I guess we should congratulate him for having a child, hopefully with the right woman. And let's just talk about what he's been spending Scottish taxpayers' money on. So he has now used, apparently, Scottish taxpayers' money to pay for a foreign national who was connected to his family to get out of Palestine and use Scottish taxpayers' money to fund it. Not to mention, I think he's used £300,000 for his mum's Islamic group in Pollokshields for CO2 emissions, and he's used another 250,000 to fund an Islamic centre in Ayrshire, apparently. So why is he using taxpayers' money to actually fund his Islamic advancement in Scotland? I've got no idea. I don't understand why. That's a personal thing. If people want to do that, they should be doing it out of their own funds. They shouldn't be getting funded by the state and using my taxpayers' money to fund it. But Hamas Useless has now been reprimanded or reported to the Met Police for acts of potential funding terrorism, because he's used Scottish taxpayers' money not to go through the UN and give money to the UN, where they actually give money to help people in Palestine, which I support as well. I don't like seeing them getting killed. My friend was Palestinian, one of the guys I stayed with. I love them a bits. I've also got Jewish friends as well, so I don't want to be too partisan on the whole situation. It's a very complex situation, and I don't want to just start throwing about my ideas. It's really nothing much to do with us up here, although it's interesting that we Fanta Pants Gear seems to have a big opinion on it. I think because he's a wee commie, and a lot of the commies are supporting Islamists, and I guess one bunch of mass murderers supporting another bunch of mass murderers, then that's the same. And I'm talking about the Islamists and the communists. So we've now got Hamas Hamza giving Scottish taxpayers money, not through the official UN channels to help individuals who are now in a desperate position with clean water and things and food and things like that, but giving it directly the day before his in-laws' family was moved. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they moved to Turkey or where they were moved to, but they were moved, foreign nationals to be moved. He was giving Scottish taxpayers money directly to Hamas, so thereby funding directly a prescribed by the British state terrorist organisation. So, which is quite concerning that the First Minister of Scotland, rather than being disparate from what he's actually been doing, was actually involved. And Hamza, just like a woman, seems to be emotionally led and not logically led. So that's probably where he's doing it. He's not thinking from a logical point of view, in the fact that I'm the First Minister of Scotland. Why am I giving taxpayers money out to a terrorist group? And will anybody mind about that? Overriding concerns from internal advice from the people who are advising the government. So he's willy-nilly just giving taxpayers advice. He's now going to be referred not only to the Met Police and anti-terrorist police, but he's also going to be referred now to the parliamentary scrutiny, which the redacted version of the Hamilton report about wee Nippy has still not come out, even though the judge. So I don't know what pressure can be put on the Parliament to actually get the unredacted report from the judge. I think the judge should just release it. The judge should just release it. They should not be redacting information. This is very anti-democratic and not informing the public of what they're actually, the skullduggery and corruption within the SNP has actually been. So, the parliamentary for parliamentary procedure and for Humza breaking the ministerial code like wee nippy, and there have been no teeth in the legislation that if you break the ministerial code you should resign. They're just saying, oh well, I'm not dictatorial in here, and there's no scrutiny because there's no second chamber, there's no official scrutiny of what they're doing because of how badly it was set up. And I apologise, it wasn't set up badly, I think, by the Conservative Party under the Scotland Act. I think it was the Labour Party that set it up badly. Obviously they thought the Labour Party were going to be in power all the time, and then they get booted out once the Parliament was set up. So, and then they would become dictatorial up here as well. So, because there's no scrutiny, there's no parliamentary privilege, it would become dictatorial, left-wing and dictatorial. Why can't the head of the Crown not release the information, the FOI information? The head of the Crown should be able to do it, but you've got to remember the judges have been compromised because the judges are controlled, the head judge is controlled by the SNP, the government. So there's no separation between judiciary and state. And thereby the judges are controlled by the SNP, and the SNP are telling the judges not to release it. And then we're going to get Hamas useless is going to Humza bin shagging is going to be found out, and he's going to be found guilty of breaking the ministerial code himself, and then he could be up on terrorist charges for financing a prescribed terrorist organisation, and so he's got two things that he might have to resign on. And then they've already got 3 outstanding criminal proceedings that wee nippy's now been put up for the 4th time. They've got witnesses in for the 4th time to try and find out where this 600 grand is. Not to mention the deaths in the care homes. But I don't know if there should be an investigation into the deaths because embalmers are finding these blockages in the arteries of people who have had heart attacks and strokes, or heart attacks and strokes, or whatever it is, strokes and heart attacks. The embalmers are finding these lesions or blood clots or changes in the DNA. Surely there is a conflict of interest with the Lord Advocate sitting on the government. Of course there is. They should be independent. Of course they should be independent of the government. But they're not, and this is the way it's been designed up here. It's been designed up here to be authoritarian and dictatorial. And there's no checks and balances. So wee nippy can break the law. She controls the police. Or now Humza useless controls the police, controls the judiciary. And there's no checks and balances. There's nobody to say, oh wait a minute, you can't do that. Or if you do that, there's going to be consequences to the sitting Parliament. The only consequence is voting them out. And to surpass that with getting Labour in, that's not a change of policy. So, Hamas useless might be up. Kel's surprised. He's already had ties. He should have never been in this building. The SNP allowed this to happen. Hamas useless had already had terrorist ties years ago. It's already been documented. There's things on that thing where they keep pages of information. I put it up on X. If you go into Guerilla TV channel on X, you need to scroll down. But you can find it on my page where there's already ties between the Islamo-fascist Hamas useless and that's before. This is him not just a new thing. This is a long thing. He's an Islamo-fascist, an Islamo-Marxist. And I've told you this before, but I think people are starting to listen, but they're still probably not quite getting it. So he's now going to be done for funding terrorism, potentially by the Met Police. I think there's been a direct complaint. I don't know if it's by Craig, and he's had a direct complaint to the Metropolitan Police for the funding of terrorism by the First Minister of Scotland, by giving the money to Hamas rather than through the UN, and to actually then get his parents out, or his relatives out, or whoever it was they got out the next day through by Hamas. And what that's got to do with Scotland and the disaster, the decline in the education system, the decline in every other aspect of Scottish society, the fake nationalists, fake SNP nationalists, the Wookie Wefter, kid-on nationalists have done by the SNP. It's all been a decline. So, I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's absolutely disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. And we've got communists and Islamists marching through the streets of Glasgow and Edinburgh. The two largest mass murdering ideologies the world's ever known. So, that's it. That's me done with that. But Hamas useless might be up in terrorist charges, and he might be up on ministerial code breaking charges. There are homeless children in Scotland who are hungry and poor. Do they matter? Not to Hamas Hamza. What matters is the Islamic Caliphate. That's what matters, because he swore allegiance when he got elected to this place. Him and Enos and probably others swore allegiance to Islam. They didn't, or on our Bible it swears allegiance to Islam, not to the Scottish people. And then the doughballs and the SNP have advanced them to the stage where Enos and Hamas Hamza are now the leader of the Labour Party and the leader of the SNP, because they're a bunch of doughballs. And you're voting for doughballs. So I don't know quite how to dress it up for you. It's like doughball central. So, hey Tim, how you doing, buddy? So that's basically where we're at just now. But our basic, our guy, the guy who's the leader of Scotland, is now giving money to terrorist organisations that have been voted through by 52% of those that voted in the SNP election. He's got no democratic legitimacy, like Pishy Rishi, from anyone in the UK to be the leader of the UK, only by the twats in the SNP and the twats in the Labour Party and the twats in the Conservative Party. And it's not all of them. I would just like to point out, it's not all of them. It's the Wookie Wefter Brigade in each of these parties. So the person that's First Minister for Scotland is giving Scottish taxpayers money, allegedly, well, not allegedly, to terrorist groups in the Middle East. My baby gorillas, congratulations.